My name is Ashley, I'm 17, and I have a 25-year-old sister, Jess, who's been married to Jake, 34, for 2 years. They started dating when she entered college, and they've been inseparable ever since. As far as I know, they've never had any problems, and whenever they visited us, they always looked like the perfect couple. Growing up, my parents never made the best decisions, which is why my sister essentially raised me. I'm incredibly grateful to her for this, and I know she had to sacrifice a lot for me. When she was in college, I called her at least 3 times a week to check in, and during those conversations, she would talk about her studies, her plans for the future, and then about Jake. She described him so well that it raised my own standards for a partner. She talked about the flowers he gave her, their beautiful dates, and how kind he was to her. I grew up in a home where my parents should have divorced a long time ago, so I didn't have any example of a healthy relationship. Because of this, I became very close to Jess and Jake. I had always been close to my sister, so when she introduced me to Jake, it felt like I finally had an older brother. Over time, Jess and Jake moved in together, got engaged, and now they're married. Eventually, my parents kicked me out of the house because I refused to pay rent. I work at a horse farm, and there are several perks to my job, such as using the horses for training and having free riding lessons with an instructor. I really love my job, but because of these perks, the pay isn't very high, and my parents wanted an amount for rent that would force me to either get a second job or leave to find a better paying job. As a result, I moved in with Jess and Jake. Jake works from home, so if he's not with Jess on a walk or at the gym, he's usually home. He makes enough working for himself, though I don't know exactly what he does. Jess said it's their family business. Recently, they told me they're expecting a baby, and of course, I was really happy for them. But since Jess had several miscarriages in the past, this pregnancy has been very difficult for her, and early on, there was a risk of miscarriage. I hope this gives you an idea of the situation. My parents had an old car that I was allowed to use to drive to school and around town. But after they kicked me out, I couldn't use it anymore. It was frustrating because I loved the sense of freedom the car gave me. Anyway, I managed. Jake insisted that he would drive me to school in the mornings and then to work, picking me up afterward. I was incredibly grateful for this, as I didn't have to take the bus or walk after my morning workout at the gym. He'd drive me to school, then go home, take a shower, stop at Starbucks, and then take me to work. After my shift, he would either wait for me at the entrance or drive me home. I was so thankful for all the time he spent helping me. In the car, we usually talked about Jess or the baby, but Jake often asked if I was seeing someone or if I was in love with anyone. He'd wink and tell me, "You're so beautiful, it's impossible that you don't have someone. Come on, tell me, you know I can keep secrets." Honestly, he guessed right, but it was still early enough that I didn't want to talk about it. So, I mostly dodged the question, trying to avoid jinxing anything. Over time, Alex, 19, the guy I had been talking to, invited me on a date. His family owned the farm where I worked, and we spent a lot of time together. During my shifts, he would help me with work or we'd ride horses. I was really happy about it, so after my shift, I told Jake. He immediately changed. He became cold. I don't know how else to describe it, but the warmth that was always in our conversations was suddenly gone. He started asking a lot of questions, very bluntly, and I thought it was just his protective older brother reaction. However, when I mentioned that Alex and I had been talking for about a month, he completely exploded and got angry. I burst into tears when he started calling me a liar and accusing me of hiding it from him. But the strangest part was his words. "How could you?" Those words keep haunting me because I don't understand what he meant by them. What was worse was that because of his behavior, I started rethinking everything that had happened since I moved in with them. For example, They had a pool in their backyard, and I would sometimes swim or just sunbathe. Now, I realized that every time I went out to the pool, Jake would find a reason to go outside, either to grill something or mow the lawn. Sometimes, I had this strange feeling that I was being watched. A few times, he even joined me in the pool, but I thought he just wanted to stretch out like I did. After I would get out of the pool, I'd head to the bathroom to take a shower in the hallway. Jake and Jess had their own bathroom in their bedroom. I went into my room, changed, and laid down to sleep, but sometimes, during that brief moment between the bathroom and my room, when I was wrapped up in a towel, Jake would be waiting for me in the hallway. He'd say goodnight, and I'd reply in kind. But now, I've started to wonder if there was more to it. I don't want to share my concerns with my sister, because she's very vulnerable right now. This pregnancy is extremely difficult for her, and I'm scared that anything I say could hurt her or the baby. I just need to figure out if I'm imagining things or if I'm exaggerating the situation. Update 1. Last night, after reading your comments, I realized I couldn't feel safe anymore in this situation and decided that starting today, I needed to make a change. Although I respect and love Jake, the risk is just too great. I tried talking to Jake after publishing the post and receiving your advice, but he was still in a bad mood, so I just went to my room. However, in the middle of the night, I felt like I urgently needed to leave the house. I started to feel like I couldn't breathe and decided to go to my usual smoking spot to clear my head. I was there for less than 15 minutes when I got a message from Jake asking, "Where are you?" After that, my phone started ringing nonstop. He kept calling over and over again, and I started feeling truly scared. All I wanted was for him to leave me alone. Eventually, I answered the phone, and a flood of insults came at me. He called me a spoiled princess, who always gets what she wants, and said I deserved to be treated like expletive. Jake demanded that I send him my location, but of course I didn't. I told him to calm down and think about his words. After that, I called Alex. Thank God, he answered. I told him everything, though it was hard to speak because I was trembling and crying. He came to me, asked questions to understand the situation better, and helped me calm down. All the while, my phone kept ringing, but thinking it was Jake, I ignored the calls. At one point, I noticed my sister was calling. Even though I suspected it was Jake on the other end, I answered, and it was him. He started shouting at me so loudly that Alex could hear him. He took the phone from my hands and told Jake to shut his mouth, saying, "She's safe," and then hung up on him. Alex told me everything would be fine and not to worry. He took me to his place and told his parents about the situation. I'm incredibly grateful to them for letting me stay in one of their available rooms in exchange for helping on the farm. After that, I just cuddled up to Alex and tried to sleep. Today, I went to school just trying to get a grip. However, after Jake's reaction and his words that kept running through my head, I started to seriously worry about my sister. I decided to call her. Luckily, she answered, and it was clear that she had been crying. Jess asked if I was safe and if everything was okay. She told me that last night, she woke up to Jake's yelling, which really scared her. So, she pretended to sleep, and then she heard him return to their bedroom and take her phone from the charger. After that, the yelling started again, and then the front door slammed shut. It turned out Jake had gone looking for me, taking her phone with him. She admitted that she didn't know what to do, but was terrified that he might actually hurt me. About an hour later, Jake came back home, still in a bad mood. When she asked him where he had been and what happened, he yelled at her for questioning him. Jess said she had never seen him so angry. He was literally breaking furniture. A few minutes later, he got back in the car and left, but fortunately, he left her phone on the kitchen counter. She checked the call log and saw all the calls he made to me. While Jake was gone, She called her friend to pick her up and tried calling me, but I had already fallen asleep. She said she was scared to death, thinking he might find me. Jess apologized for not being able to protect me and for not noticing what was going on. She asked why I hadn't told her, but I said I didn't want to burden her because of the pregnancy. After that, we cried together for a long time. Now, my parents have allowed Jess to move back home for free to help with the baby. If this option had been available earlier, nothing would have happened. But it's not possible anymore. My sister and I went out for dinner, where she cried again. She said she had never been afraid of Jake before, but after his outburst last night, she was in shock. They still need to collect their things from Jake's house, but we will do it together. Dad and Alex will be with us so Jake can't do anything. According to my sister, Jake has tried to contact her several times to apologize, claiming he was worried about my safety and that I shouldn't have gone out at night, but he didn't know that Jess had heard everything he yelled at me. So she knew he was lying. Jess told him she was filing for divorce and hung up the phone. I love my sister and wish her nothing but happiness. I'm sure she'll get through this and find a wonderful man who will love only her. By the way, Alex and I are planning a date next week, so I'm really happy about that. Update 2. This will probably be the last update unless something unexpected happens. We've successfully moved out of Jake's house. I'm okay, and my sister is okay, but unfortunately, a few days ago, she lost the baby. Thank you all for your support. Let me know what you think about this story in the comments. Thanks for watching the video until the end. Check out our previous video, which you'll find here. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss new videos. Take care.